Hello, and welcome to One Spark Stories, the podcast where innovators, creators, and some unsuspecting risk takers share about navigating highs and lows, laughter and tears, and how sometimes all it takes is one spark of inspiration to find your way to happiness. This podcast will leave you inspired to take action on your own purpose as we connect, create, and celebrate unique sparks around the globe, once again proving that it is a small world after all. I hope that you are ready for a ridiculous amount of energy, hope, and realistic optimism. Larry Long Jr. is the founder and CEO, Chief Energy Officer, of LLJR Enterprises, which focuses on sales, motivation, and inspiration, as well as great team trainings. He is the host of the Midweek Midday Motivational Minute. And I'm telling you, if you haven't tuned in yet after this, you are going to want to. He is also co-author of Color Outside the Lines and has a new book coming soon titled JOLT. Larry's experiences playing baseball for University of Maryland has contributed to his incredible passion towards high-impact coaching and helping professionals take their game to that next level. Hello, and we have Larry Long Jr. with us today. Hello, Larry.
Hey, what's going on, Katie? Can you hear me now?
Okay, hold on. Can you hear me now? Testing. Oh my goodness. This is going to be too much fun. And really, I feel like anybody that's listening on podcasts is going to need to go back and probably watch it on YouTube, right? Because this is the day we bring it. In fact, so I'm going to start really quickly by saying, Larry, I came across your information from a friend and business ally, Mike Simmons, in his podcast, Find My Catalyst. And I know you two were able to enjoy time out playing golf. Seems to be a thing from what I found. And while we can't be there, I did make sure that I've got my clubs here ready to go. So you bring the mics, I bring the clubs, and we're gonna just make it happen, okay?
I love it. Katie, I don't know if you did your research, but Tiger Woods is my cousin. I was supposed to Masters in 2020. Tiger is my long lost cousin. They call me Larry, hit it in the woods, but boom.
Man, see, I can say with confidence that I could probably go club to club with Tiger out on the mini golf court. No, I can't. I'm not even gonna fake arrogance on that, okay? But that's fantastic. I love it. Oh, geez, I'm just dropping stuff. Story of my life.
The internet. I love it. You're wrecking shop. I love it, Katie.
Hey, that's how we do it over here. One spark. It's a spark of fire in the house because I just tipped something over. All right, Larry. So at One Spark, we are all about that spark of idea, that moment in time. And in order to get this conversation started, I'm going to ask you a few questions just so we can get to know you a little bit better. So first off, you mentioned golf, and if I recall, you do have some background in athletics. Was it baseball, correct?
Yes, you did your research. I played baseball at University of Maryland. Go Terps!
All right, well, we're going to go with this. If it were not baseball, we're not even going to think about golf. What would be the other sport that we would find Larry out playing?
Basketball. I wish I was a little bit taller. I wish I was a baller.
Right. They need to bring the little pumps back. Give me a little lift, squeeze my shoes. And I suddenly felt 10 feet tall.
I love it.
All right. Next up, are you a water person? Are you an ocean traveler, or are you more land?
Wherever there's a golf course, I don't discriminate. I do like to work on my tan. That's a joke.
I like it. I'm getting close, Larry. I'm getting close.
No, life's a beach. I do love the beach, but I just love being out in nature. So land, water, in the air, you name it.
Yeah. So would you rather be out in nature than a big, busy city? It's probably hard to
for
throw
sure.
some hit your golf balls out in the big towns.
For sure.
Excellent. Favorite childhood toy?
Oh my goodness. Operation.
You make that sound and I'm having anxiety at the moment. So that were you also, you probably like, remember that game Perfection where you had to get the pieces and puzzle before it went pop and all? Not my thing, Larry. You can have your operation. So curious, who would play Larry Long Jr. in a movie? And I feel like you would bring it yourself, but let's say you have this cast coming in. Who's Larry?
Oh, it's got to be Will Smith. Will Smith brings that energy that might be able to keep up with me.
Right? I am so right there with you on that one. I love it. And then this one's going to get a little deeper in your philosophy, but why did the chicken cross the road?
Oh, goodness, of course, to get to the other side. That's an easy one.
Right? He was just going. That's all. Come on now. Logical Larry, I love this. So I want to, as we lead into the conversation a little bit more, what would you say is something that maybe is a misconception of you? Because personally, I find you as a joyful ball of energy, but I'm sure there have been encounters, or maybe not, but what would you say is a misconception of Larry?
Yeah, a lot of folks, I've been told, a lot of folks are like, you can't be this happy all the time. There's no way you can always be smiling. And they're right. I'm like, you're absolutely right. Life is not all sunshine and rainbows and unicorns, as my 8-year-old daughter would say. But I do make an intentional choice, and I choose joy. I choose positivity. I choose optimism whenever I can. And really, I can do that almost in every scenario. But does bad stuff happen to me? Yeah, I'm human. Life is a 4-letter word for me, just like everyone else. But I'm a big believer. It's what you make of it. And I had a good friend of mine, James Babb, who said, hey, he told my team, he said, hey, in every situation, you can look for the good, the great, and the wonderful. And if you change your perspective that, hey, it might be bad, but I'm going to look for the good, the great, and the wonderful, it just changes everything from my experience.
Yes, I absolutely agree with that. And I think there's a difference between just being an optimist and always like, yes, everything's fine versus a realistic optimist. And it's the notion that, listen, it is crummy right now. It's hard. Times are not good, but I know that there are ways out. And for myself, I think part of that journey has been hitting a wall, having that perceived failure, that moment of doubt. Where would you say that your journey, maybe you had that spark, that first lift to say, you know what, Larry, you got this?
Yeah, there's been several. As I look through my journey line, I think that we go through peaks and valleys. Yes. And some of my highest peaks have come from my lowest valleys. The one that really stands out, I used to own an indoor baseball and softball academy. That was my baby before I had babies, teaching youngsters the fundamentals of the game on the diamond as well as in life. Well, after a year and a half, we ran out of cash. And if you don't have cash, you don't have a business. So that thing failed. After a year and a half, we failed. And that was tough. Asking mom, dad, grandma, can you help me pay my rent? Can you pay my bills? Can you pay my telephone bills? That was tough, but that led me to get into sales, tech sales, which has really been one of the peaks, being in tech sales leadership, and now doing what I do now as a professional motivational speaker, transformational speaker, a coach and author. I mean, that would have never happened if it hadn't have been from that experience. So was it terrible going through it? For sure. It's never good when your business is failing. You can't pay your bills. You're relying on other people to help you out. But like you said, there was light at the end of the tunnel, and that experience helped me become who I am today.
Yes, I think that is definitely true. When your back is up against a wall, it forces an awareness and an aha that you otherwise probably would not have that clarity, even though it seems like you're in deep, knee-deep, muddy waters. But there is a clarity, right? That just, it's that catalyst forward. And so I love that you brought that up. And I want to come back to your book, JOLT, that I think that's due to come out soon, right?
It is slated to come out in mid-May. I'm super excited. We're helping people to get zapped into intentionality, to rediscover and believe in their inner greatness. And so many times folks don't believe in it. As we get a little bit older, we don't necessarily get wiser. We start to believe that negative hype that we can't do this. I'm not smart enough. I'm not fast enough. I'm not good enough. When in reality, yes, you are. And yes, you can. And yes, you will, with the change of the mindset, with the change of your heart, with the change of the environment of the people that are surrounding you. What books are you reading? What podcasts are you listening to? I can see it so clearly for everyone else. And I'll tell you, my book, it's been therapy, and it's been a guide for me to look internally and dig deep and ask myself the tough questions, because I'm on that journey just like everyone else.
Yes, yes, that is so powerful, because it is your environment. You know, like you went through all, there's the other thought that came to mind is it's the Netflix shows you're binging. Come on. What are we doing with our time? How are we investing in a way that is going to make that change that we desire? And it sounds to me like your family is the root of that passion, the root of that purpose. And part of the enjoyment of the baseball piece was the youth and the give back. So tell me more. I know you mentioned an 8-year-old daughter. Tell me more about your family. What is that environment of support for you? Who is your board of directors?
My BOD. It's my 8-year-old daughter, Lucia, my 12-year-old son, Larry Long III. We call him Trey. My beautiful wife, Maria. It's my mom. It's my sister, who's 10 years younger. I lost my father 6 years ago. He's in my spirit each and every day. And really, it's just so much love, so much just support through everything that we've been through. And it's knowing that, hey, I've got their unconditional love. I know that I've got their unconditional support, and they've got mine, which is, I've been really fortunate. I've been really blessed. That's my board of directors right there, as well as my friends and my mentor, Mark Winchester, my coach, Kristen Frade, my best friend, Will Richardson, Matt Anderson, John Pierre Vestor. That's my whole crew right there, that really, they lift me up, they hold me up, they support me. And it's just a beautiful thing.
Yes. And to be able to have that support that you can rattle off just like that, bang, bang, boom, boom, calling my team, right? Paging team, Larry Long Jr., please come to the office. You need those people that you can call on in an instant. And our families, we're right there in a parallel. I'm cracking up over here. I have a 10-year-old daughter, newly 10-year-old daughter, and a 12-year-old son. He's not a junior, but he's JJ. He's my son, Joseph Jonathan. My husband's Joseph as well. So we're rocking the parallel life. And I feel like they often are, especially my kid, they are my support. They are the ones that are like, yes, do this, keep going. And that connection they see to drive that purpose is what truly inspires me, not because I think I have it all figured out. Goodness, I wouldn't be asking everybody else on this podcast, how'd you do it? If I didn't still have questions, but it gives me hope that they're curious as well. And they see that purpose. And as you think beyond just that board of directors and connection, where do you see that purpose for you, that connection drawing in to drive you further?
Yeah, I believe that I've been placed on this earth to help other people. And that's so generic, but really to inspire people to believe in themselves, to feel good about themselves. Oftentimes, and I'm in such just a wonderful opportunity, wonderful position where I get to coach leaders, sales professionals, and we generally start off with that person in the mirror. And what I found is that folks' impression of themselves, they look in the mirror and they see a little kitty cat, whereas I look in their mirror and I see a lion that's ready to roar. I see someone ready to unleash the beast. And just being able to have an impact for the positive on individuals' lives, which then impacts their families. It impacts the organizations that they work for, because when you uplift an individual, it now starts to rise everyone. And I know we want to keep our droplets to ourselves, but we want to spread. We want to spread that positivity. We want to spread that inspiration, that transformation to everyone. We don't want to keep that to ourselves, keep our droplets to ourselves, but I'm here to spread that word.
I love that. That is something that you mentioned about, helping people see that within themselves. One of the most eye-opening activities that I love experiencing with people is taking them through that identity, taking them through their personal identity and their social identity, and recognizing how much of their identity has been defined by parameters not within themselves, how much has been decided through societal norms, expectations, history. And in that moment, it's that spark that, like, holy cow, for this long, I've been defining myself in front of these people based on something I actually don't identify with. And it is so important that you keep doing this work and people keep empowering others to see that greatness within, because that's what keeps us moving forward. It's important to not only acknowledge how people see us so we can be smart and play on that. I know how I see you now, so I can play this, but to build that confidence to speak it. So how have you found that shifting from, not really shifting, it's all part of who you are, it sounds like, from baseball and sales to now getting to speak your truth? How has that evolution come about?
It's interesting that you talk about identity. And so many folks identify, and their identity is based on what they do and not who they are. I mean, I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a friend, I'm a cousin, I'm so many things. And my work is just a piece of it. I was a baseball player. That was a piece of who I am. That's no longer a piece. I teach baseball, but I don't play baseball. So these transitions, they teach you so much. And for me, it's just been a journey. It's been an adventure. Sometimes it's been a misadventure, which makes life interesting. That's right. Been tons of fun. But it's that journey of growth, of learning, and really impact. I mean, every day I ask myself the question, and it's a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing to help others? And the key word there is doing. So I ask myself that. I wake up in the morning, I look in the mirror, I say, where did my hair go? And then I ask myself, Larry, what will you do today to impact others for the positive? And if I can answer that question at the end of the day, job well done. That's what I hope my legacy is. And speaking of legacy, I've taken the baton from my father. He was a track guy, long jumper, triple jumper, but I've taken that baton, and now I'm on a mission. I've actually set a date, December 11th, 2025. That would be the 10-year anniversary of him passing. I want to have either or have both broken ground on a community center and have funds for a community foundation that supports inner city youth that need financial assistance to go to college. And 7% of my business, what I earn in my business, goes to that effort, which really inspires me each and every day, because it's not about me. This life isn't about me. I'm kind of the conduit. I'm kind of the catalyst to make it about others, to build others up in tangible ways, financially, as well as from a resource perspective. Because I'm gonna keep it real with you, Katie. You can't be what you can't see. And I had the luxury, I had the privilege of a mother and father that worked hard, that taught me the right way, that showed me the right way. So many folks don't have that. And I want to provide that to everyone that I can possibly touch.
You've just stirred the inner core of my being in a way that I cannot explain, because I started my career in education and worked within the Center for Urban Education Studies and supported Cincinnati Public Schools and Dayton Public Schools. And the one thing that continuously had to be reiterated was the fact that we have students less than a mile from the Ohio River that could not tell you what that body of water looks like. Now, it's ugly, don't get me wrong, there's things floating in it, but they do not have that opportunity. Funding has been stripped for experiential learning opportunities. It's just that moment, realizing that I was no longer able to consult and support as the whole child, that's what shifted my perspective and built that spark. And somebody that immediately came to mind, you may have crossed paths, and if not, we need to get you in touch. But Reggie Williams, former Bengals, he has really been the brainchild behind the ESPN Wide World of Sports. And it was bred out of the schooling in Compton that was set up during Super Bowl when they were down there. And what he has continued to fight for and support is absolutely what continues to be reignited. So Larry, we could talk for 2 hours about what you just said, because it is such a need, and that privilege that you speak of is something I hope more people become aware with this podcast, is realizing the fact that I can have a podcast and connect with you and connect with other voices, that is a privilege. The fact that I was on government assistance sounds like a great sob story, but the reality is it was an economic downturn, and I had a master's degree in a car. And so I could go and I could find an opportunity. That's not the case. So thank you. You've put it out there. We're going to put the date on the calendar, and we're going to come to the celebration of that. What would you say? And it sounds like a lot of your story has built to that point, but what has been the biggest catalyst or connection that has caused you to create that mindset, that vision?
It's been my father. My father grew up in Baltimore City in the projects, only one from his family to graduate high school, surrounded by violence, drugs, just a lot of negative influences. And internally, he was strong. He also had the support of track coaches and mentors. Mr. Godfrey Moore was one of his mentors. Ralph Durant. I mean, the names go on and on, but his legacy was to pass that along, was to give back. And he served our veterans. He worked with the Veterans Administration and also had a passion for helping the other little Larrys. His name was Larry Long. I'm Larry Long Jr. To help the other little Larrys in Baltimore City to see that there's a different way. You might see this each and every day, but you don't have to follow that path. I'm here to show you that you can follow this path, and I'm here to support you. So that was really the catalyst for me, just understanding where my father came from, understanding where my family came from, and doing something about it. Knowing isn't doing. So I'm trying to take the steps to actually do something to have an impact, and not just talk is cheap. In the words of the great philosopher, mystical, show me what you're working with. So that's the mission that I'm on.
I love your purpose is bigger than you. And I truly believe I say that, but it's not, because it is you. It's that big vision. And it is rooted in your family, your legacy, your story. What would you encourage people to do to help tap into their own? Because so many, I think, it's stuck in that systemic mindset that, well, this is how it's been, so this is how it has to be. But it doesn't. And you're proving that. What encouragement can you offer up?
I'm a big fan of documenting. So I encourage people to start writing out a plan and to dream, and then dream big. And then dream bigger for things that are out of this world. Document it. Share that with those that are supportive around you. Hercules. Hopefully you have an encouraging board of directors. And if folks are telling you you're crazy, that's good. That means that you're dreaming so big that you're able to see it that they can't. But I would encourage you, sometimes you got to trim. You got to trim in order to grow. Find those folks that believe in you, that encourage you, that are there to support you with those big dreams. And then you got to put it into action. Now, it's not that easy. Believe you me, you're going to hit turbulence. You're going to hit choppy waters. But there's so many people out there that want to support you if you ask. if you ask, if you're open to feedback, if you're open to collaboration. So it starts with a dream, an idea, got to document it, and then you got to take the steps. And sometimes you might be going the wrong way. You might be going this way. Oh, it's a dead end. Pivot, reverse. But you can do it. And I just encourage you. I'm here to encourage you that yes, you can. And yes, you will. If you put your heart into it, you put your mind to it, you can do anything. So let's get it.
Let's do it, because that is the truth. I think anytime people get this idea of, oh, it's risky, I'll fail. Good, because you will learn so much more out of that. That is perfect, Larry. And I want to wrap this conversation up. I don't want to, that's beyond, I really don't want to, but I probably should, or else we'll end up on here way too long. But circling back to who Larry Long Jr. is, we've talked about how those connections matter and what you've been able to create. And the third pillar of One Spark is focusing on celebration, because we don't celebrate one another intentionally enough. It's very much, superficial. Hey, good job. Click the button. Like, don't get me wrong. It makes me feel good, but it's superficial. So I want to flip the script and say, let's celebrate Larry a little bit deeper. And you've got so many things you've mentioned, the book, you've got the center coming out in you said 2028, no, 2025. Look at me. We're moving it up. No, I don't want to move further. So 2025, we've got that. What right now today is something we have not tapped into that we can celebrate with Larry?
Yeah, and that's always tough for me, but I'm 10 and a half months in to being on my own as a business owner. And I feel so good about the impact that I've made. And really, that's my goal, is to impact individuals' lives. When I receive the messages from folks sharing, Larry, thank you for providing a new perspective. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you for the encouragement. That helps me. That sparks my fire. Yes. To keep on keeping on each and every day. So I would say that's a celebration. We're trying to lift the entire community up, because it's contagious. It's like wildfire. Yes. You spark one person and they're able to spark 5. Out of that 5, 3 are able to spark 15. 15 can spark 45. I'm not good with numbers, but now you've got sparks all throughout the community. It's electric. Phil, don't get me doing the electric slide up in here. Woo!
Yeah, that'll be the next time. Next time we're going to do a dance off. We'll take it to TikTok. We'll be, what do they call it? A duet where you do one, I do. Oh yeah, it's going to be good, Larry. Can't wait.
We're bringing it next level. I don't mind.
I'm about it. This is fantastic. Larry, you are truly a gem. It still blows my mind that you are 10 and a half months in to this journey, because one, I think your spark has definitely turned into your burning platform, and it is growing and spreading, and it's drawn me into you. And I think that it's going to continue. I do not doubt that before December, we'll be celebrating at least the 1-year anniversary in 2025. This is going to happen. And thank you. Where can we track you down? Where can people connect with Larry Long Jr.?
Yes, there's 2 places. So LinkedIn, Larry Long Jr. I got to smile for a mile. Please shoot me a note. Send me a follow. I think I'm maxed out on LinkedIn connections, but if you follow me, I can follow you back. Yeah, they put a limit on it. I say no limit. They say, there's a limit. But also my website, www.larrylongjr, and that's jr.com. I would love to connect with you.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Larry. We appreciate your time, your smile, your energy, and your empowerment. Keep doing great things.
Thank you, Katie. Peace.
Did you know
Malibu Stacy can melt in over 300 degrees of heat?
Later, Tater.